For this art project, you will be learning about the phases of the moon. Have you ever wondered why sometimes the moon is a crescent, sometimes it's a full moon? Well, half of the moon is lit by the sun while the other half is in darkness. The phases we see result from the angle the moon makes with the sun as viewed from Earth as it orbits around the Earth. We only see the moon because sunlight reflects back to us from its surface. For materials, you will need something round to trace with, a marker or a pencil to draw with, a piece of paper, and also something to color with.
Municipalities across the state are starting to talk about next year's spending plans, and with so many questions about how the pandemic will affect spending and revenue, towns will have a tough time putting their budgets together. BPR's Howard Wise-Tisman.
To begin this project, you will trace a half circle over on the left-hand side of the middle of your paper. And then you'll trace another circle in the center of your paper. Next, you will line up two more circles, one above and one below the center circle. Following that, you're going to trace a circle on either side of the middle circle. You will trace 4 more circles in between the circles that you have already made. You will have a total of 8 circles around your center circle. These represent the phases of the moon. And that circle over to the left of your paper is actually representing the sun.
Support for BPR comes from Norwich Solar Technologies, whose community impact.
So in the center of this diagram is the Earth. And the moon closest to the sun, we're going to label the new moon. That's the dark one. The sunlight only hits the back of it, so Earth, we don't see the moon itself. On the opposite side is the full moon, as the sun hits the entire surface as we look at it from Earth. Either side of the new moon are crescent moons. So as we continue to label this diagram, it goes from the new moon to a crescent moon to the first quarter moon. After that is the gibbous moon to the full moon. And once again, we have the gibbous moon. And then across from the first quarter moon is the third quarter moon. I am drawing arrows on this diagram to show how the moon phases change. Now, when you go from the new moon to the half moon, that's called the waxing phase, and that's where the moon gets bigger. And then when we move from the full moon back down to the new moon, that's the waning phase where the moon disappears. Let's make the shape of our moons. We don't have to do anything to the new moon or the full moon, but for the crescent moons, we're just going to have a tiny sliver of the moon showing. It's about 25%. And then for the quarter moons, divide them down the middle. For the gibbous moons, we're going to make that crescent shape again, but on the opposite side. Now it's time to add some color to our moons, and the new moon is going to be totally dark. I used purple, but you can really use gray, black, any color that you want to represent that new moon. And as you're moving in the direction of waxing or gaining sunlight cast on the moon, it's going to become brighter and brighter. As you're coloring your moons, consider making some texture because the surface of the moon has lots of craters and is definitely not smooth. And also consider giving it a shadow on the darker side to make it look like a sphere, to give it some depth and make it round. Actually, this whole idea of how light hits things is super important to art. Okay, it's time to go create your own phases of the moon. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye!